everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Pixar Post Podcast. As usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And we are here to talk about, it's mostly a news week.
Yeah.
It's going to be, we're going to talk about how does Pixar select the names for their characters, which was a piece that Craig Good answered a question on. We're going to talk about the Star Wars die-cast characters.
Which are so cool.
Oh, yeah. Discuss the Angus MacLean Lego blockumentary. Some discussion around that. We're going to talk about the 3 Cars Tunes Shorty Shorts, a Disney Infinity playset video, and we're going to start off the week with a discussion around the new Monsters University Party Hard trailer that was premiered during the
Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards.
Earlier this week, or was it this last weekend? And so let's take a listen to that trailer because it has some pretty cool...
A neat song
in it.
Monsters University, alma mater, hail to you.
I'm officially a college student!
When it's time to party, we will party hard.
I've never stayed up this late in my life!
Disney Pixar's Monsters University in 3D, June 21st. This film not yet rated.
All right, so there you go. That little song there where it goes, the party hard. That's and for anybody that doesn't know, it's an Andrew WK song called Party Hard. Came out actually on his album in 2000 and either 1 or 2, right around the time that Monsters Inc. came out. But pretty cool trailer, lots more fun. So if you haven't seen it, definitely hit the show notes on episode 10 again and watch that trailer. And originally it was only uploaded via like another website called like Maximum Trailer or something like that, or Maximum TV. But just so you know, if you haven't watched it again, Disney Pixar, their official YouTube channel, has now uploaded it in full 1080p. So we've re-updated our post, so be sure to check it out there because before it wasn't in full 1080.
It's a short trailer, but it is fun. It shows probably 2 quick snippets that are new.
Yeah, and one of them that was really fun was the part with Terry and Terry Perry.
Yes.
And we called it out in our post as well, where they're doing shoo, shoo, shoo. You can hear them do it during the clip there.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool because one of them's a dance major, one of them's an English major, and then the one that's dancing is dancing on his own while the other one's
awesome.
just sitting there looking like, ay.
It's funny because once we saw this trailer, I was instantly like, okay, Terry and Terry, well, the one Terry is going to be one of my favorites. I just know it because how he was dancing, he was so excited. He was like serious, like...
Oh yeah, it was like the full on like, hoo, hoo, hoo. He had the face.
It's such creative, like whoever thought of that character or those 2 characters.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be be a cool character.
Yeah, that was a really cool scene to see.
And it's fun because we're getting, as we see more and more of these trailers, we're getting more and more attached to other characters, not just because originally it was always, we always talked about Art, but it's going to be cool.
And George.
And of course, George, yes. Everybody knows you love George. So the other thing, Monsters University related, that kind of happened this week is that there's on last night's episode, which was Wednesday, March 27th, there was a Monsters University poster in the background of
Modern Family. You almost said Monsters University
twice.
Again.
Yeah. So there was a poster in the background of Modern Family in an episode called Just the Jokes.
Yeah.
Where they're walking in a mall and it's in the window of like a furniture store. The placement doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it was still really cool to see.
Yeah, it actually got quite a bit of airtime, I thought, because it was clear as day.
It was. They almost led into it with the scene, and then it panned and showed them walking,
right.
2 of the characters walking, and then you could still see it blurred in the background. So it definitely had its product placement for sure there. And, a lot of people were talking about it on Twitter, so we certainly weren't the only ones that saw it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that was really neat.
Yeah. And then, we've talked about all the Monsters University merchandise that's been coming out. So just a quick note, if you haven't seen it, that there's a Monsters University composition journal, which is very similar to the other journal that has come out. It's just wide-ruled and a little bit larger. So that's about it for Monsters University. So the other bit of news that was earlier in the week was the Disney Infinity playset discussion that happened with John Day, who's a producer for Disney Infinity. Let's take a listen to what he says in this clip here, and then we'll discuss it a little bit.
Now, if you instead you want to be one of the Incredibles in the Incredibles playset, you're going to have these options, okay? You've got Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, Violet, or Dash, and you can even be Syndrome in the playset if you want to be the bad guy. Every one of these characters is going to have their own unique special superpowers, and between you and me, and don't tell anyone I told you this, Violet is probably the most powerful character in the entire game. So pick her up. She's one of my very favorites. Now, if instead you are playing Monsters University, you can be either Mike or you can be Sully. And there may be other characters that are playable at launch as well that we're not prepared to talk about yet. But these guys you can use to scare and pull pranks on other college students, stuff like that. Great playset.
Pretty cool little bit of news there about Violet, and we had talked about that in our post, but
I always wondered if she was going to be like one of the really powerful ones, because I mean her power in the actual film The Incredibles is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, it's underrated for sure because it doesn't really come up until
the
near
very
the end when they're in one of the final battle scenes, but you can certainly see, by putting that protection orb.
Well, that, and I wonder, I mean, she can go invisible.
Exactly.
So I wonder how that's going to play out in Disney Infinity. I mean, everyone always remembers that she can create that, power bubble around her and other people.
The shield,
but
yep.
She also can go invisible. So I wonder how that happens.
What's funny is I never even thought about that. Yeah. I literally thought about the shield,
right.
But I didn't think at all about the invisible. And I wonder, there's going to be obviously some character that's probably going to be able to detect at some level her.
Right.
But that's going to be pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So that will be really neat to see.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely make sure we get her.
Of course, yeah. And last week we talked about, which characters you should be buying, based on the bonus character you can get. And she was one of the bonus characters we suggested that everybody should buy, but definitely pick her up for sure. And then obviously they also talked about the Monsters University characters as well. And we did know that, of course, Mike and Sully are going to be there. And it has been rumored for quite a while that Randall is going to be one of the characters that they're going to bring out as well. Obviously, he doesn't discuss it. John doesn't discuss it on the video. But
we saw a screenshot.
There's a screenshot where you can see him in the background, Randall in the background. And then you can also, on the packaging for the blind discs, or the power discs, that you can see him on that package as well. So people are pretty much assuming it's him, but you've got to think, and
makes sense if there's, they have Syndrome, and then they have, Captain Barbossa.
Right, they have some of the other bad characters from some of the bad guys from some of the movies.
So you kind of have to think.
Yeah, Randall makes sense, but I'm wondering if there's going to be anybody else, because some of the playsets are only 3. Though the Cars characters have 4 right now.
Right.
And then the Incredibles have a total of 5. So I'm wondering who else could be from...
Waternoose?
Waternoose, yeah.
I mean, he could be kind of a neat character.
Uh-huh. And they're doing it as Monsters University, so we'll have to see how much his involvement is within the movie itself, too.
You're right.
But, who knows? Who knows? We'll certainly have to see. But Randall, we're going to expect it because, it has been... you can see him in the game. He's got some other things out there, so...
Everyone loves Randall, even though in Monsters, Inc. he was not so nice.
Yeah, but he's got to be there.
Yeah.
He's got to be there, right?
Right.
So the other bit of news is last Friday we found out that there's going to be 3 new Cars Toon shorty shorts, as they called them, just because of the length of them were much shorter than the typical shorts, shorter than the shorts and the shorty shorts.
I think they're about 90 seconds.
Yeah, they're around there. When you throw in the credits and everything else, they get to be closer to 2 minutes. But yeah, for the actual short itself, it's closer to 90 seconds. And directed by Jeremy Lasky, who's a longtime Pixar veteran. He's been with the studio since A Bug's Life. And the 3 shorts were Hiccups, Bugged, and Spinning. And in Hiccups, let's just hear what Flo has to say.
Anybody know the cure for hiccups?
Pronto? Trattieni il respiro.
Okay, so there we hear Flo say, anybody have the cure for hiccups? So Lightning McQueen gets a drink of oil and has the hiccups right after that. So the rest of the town goes around trying to...
the old school remedies that everyone's like, hold your breath. And,
right, exactly.
I'm going to scare you. And all these crazy, drink water and spin around. And all the things that you did when you were a kid. we're in our 30s, we do this now. So, and they don't really work.
Right. So, but
it was kind of fun. It was very.
It was just
humorous,
funny. Yeah, it was just funny. So, but the other thing, listen to Guido when he starts talking here. I'm going to play this little short clip one more time.
Anybody know the cure for hiccups?
Pronto? Trattieni il respiro.
Okay, so you heard, Guido in there. One thing we thought was interesting, and we've known this for a little bit, but, it's a little fun trivia fact that not all of our listeners may know, is that Guido is actually voiced by a Pixarian who's a supervising technical director whose name is conveniently also...
Guido.
Yeah, his name is Guido Coroni, and he is Italian, so it's obviously very legit as he does his voice there. So,
and he's always been one of our favorite characters.
Everybody loves Guido. How can you not? He's just so cute, and he's happy and upbeat, and he's always...
And I always tend to like the quirky,
right,
funny ones. I mean, Rex, Guido, Bruce. It's not really funny, but I love Bruce.
Well, it's just because of his voice.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. But
it's always interesting to see all the Pixar voice talent that's in most of the films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes me wonder. I wonder if his was a scratch voice. You know how sometimes they just say it's a scratch voice, and it was just there from tests.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about like some of the the big guys who do scratch voices that stick, but I've not heard of him.
Yeah, I never heard that they had any other choice. So I bet he was just the right choice right from the get-go.
Right.
So the second short in the series was one called Bugged, in which Red is bugged, if you will, by the bug that's flying around him. And I still can't get over the fact that the bugs, and I know it was in the first Cars, but the bugs are Volkswagen Beetles. It's just so cool. It's hilarious.
That's really clever.
When they were coming up with the character designs, they had to have cracked up when they finally did that.
I know.
That it's a Beetle. A Volkswagen Beetle is the bug. That's great. So anyways, one really cool detail that we really liked in that short is when...
It's so minor, and I don't know if a lot of people caught on to this, but it really does add to it.
Yeah, well, like anything
I'll
with
let you say it. So,
like anything with Pixar, it's the authenticity of it. And when Red is watering his flowers, when the water's coming out of his hose, there's a little bit of course, mist. It's not a perfect, stream of water. There's mist that's coming out as well. And if you notice, when he's moving the hose around, you'll see faint rainbows that appear, with the reflection and refraction of the light.
Just like you would if you were washing your car outside on a sunny day.
Yeah, the mist catches and makes the little mini rainbows.
It's those little details that make it.
Yeah, Pixar. They're geniuses with that stuff. So the final and third of the initial bunch is called Spinning, in which Luigi comes out and tells Guido, hey, he's holding a sign advertising the store outside. We've all seen when we've driven by stores where they're holding a sign and shaking it out there.
Pizza places.
Yep. So Luigi comes out and tells Guido to shake the sign. So let's play a little clip here because there's another piece in regards to the music. So pay attention to the music as you're listening to this too.
Check out Guido!
Nice maneuvers.
Wow, it's a magical design.
Hey, DJ, lay down some beats, man.
Yeah, Guido! Yeah!
Look at you move, man!
That's the ticket! That's it!
Fire!
Right on, man.
Pizza! Yeah! Of course!
Yeah, how do you not love that? I mean, first off, Guido again. It was our favorite of the three.
It was.
Just because of the energy, the music behind it, and it involves Guido. So we definitely love the music there. It's a great mix of the beats along with the charm. You get the touches of traditional Italy, in there as well. And one thing we thought was pretty cool is Jeremy Lasky, again, the director of the shorts, mentioned that the music, on Twitter, he mentioned that the music was done by Ludwig Göransson. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, so we tried to look him up. He doesn't have a whole lot of information out there, but it's really interesting just to always see who those people are. And I wonder... we'll eventually have to dig up how they ended up coming across Ludwig and or Ludwig,
Yeah.
and used him, because it would be interesting to find that out. But yeah, love the beats, love the charm there.
Yeah, like you said, it was a really good mix. It was unexpected, I think, to have that tie into, that Italian kind of, essence of it to, make it seem like you're at, Luigi's Casa de la Tires.
Right.
It made it all really enjoyable.
Right. Yeah. And the feedback we've heard from other people, definitely spinning seems to be one of the more favorite ones that's out there. And then once we found out that there were going to be these Cars tunes out there again, we thought for sure it was going to be directed by Rob Gibbs. So we were excited to see that Jeremy Lasky is getting, his take on it, because Rob Gibbs, he was a writer on all of these, but he has been involved, either a co-director or the sole director of all of the Mater's Tall Tales shorts. So we were excited to see that not that Rob Gibbs wasn't doing it, because obviously we love all the Mater's Tall Tales, but just that somebody else is kind of jumping in.
Yeah, it's always nice to see like a new point of view, I guess.
Yeah.
To see another, Pixarian, their take.
Right.
On these characters that everyone just adores.
Right, and it's also a mix this time with Pixar Canada.
Yes.
They helped out. I mean, they did Time Travel Mater as well. They worked on that, but from, these three shorts, they were very integral with Pixar Canada out there, which, of course, as people know that read our site, was Partyosaurus Rex, where they produced that one out of. So that's pretty cool. The next little bit that we wanted to talk about was there was a video, well, I shouldn't even say a video, a blockumentary that was put out from Angus MacLean, which Angus MacLean, talking about Cars Tune shorts, Angus did a short Small Fry, that was ahead of The Muppets when that was in theaters. And he talks about the fact that he has been a Lego fanatic for so long, and it's always really cool in this 3.5-minute blockumentary that's officially done by Lego to see how Pixar employees express their creativity outside of work as well. And I know you had mentioned that you always like seeing that.
I do, I really do. And in this little blockumentary, he explains that he and his dad actually made toys themselves that they could play with. They kind of created things that didn't exist. And I really took that to heart, because obviously making that custom Partyosaurus Rex toy, I mean, it doesn't exist yet. So, and I really wanted it. And of course, how many countless prototypes of what up fishes, fish, plush, stuffed animals do I have in the basement, and countless other ideas and projects. So I really found it interesting that this Pixarian actually has been doing that since he was a kid. And I kind of feel like, wow, gosh, I've been toying with this stuff since I was a kid, and, even now. So I like that whole creative process, that even though you have a creative job, that creativity does not stop when he's at home. I mean, if you see this blockumentary, there is a pretty decent sized shed in the back of his house, and it is full of Legos.
Yeah.
I myself consider myself a Lego aficionado. I have quite a bit of Legos myself. But he can put, I think, anyone's Lego
collection
to shame.
Well, I guess unless you're a Lego, what are they, the master builders or whatever? Yeah, I'm sure they have a ton too.
Oh, he has drawers and drawers and shelves. I mean,
yeah, and all of his creations are really cool. And
he actually created, I guess, what were they called?
A series of cube dudes.
Yeah, cube dudes.
Where essentially, instead of the typical head on a Lego character, whether it be round, like the regular, sphere, circular one, or if you're talking about just a square head, he just turned it on a 45-degree angle, so the seam, if you will, or where the corners meet, is lining up in the dead middle where your nose would be, rather than it being a flat surface.
It's really creative, and the way he makes these characters so realistic. I mean, he has a Carl from Up.
Yeah, he does show some, not just as a cube dude, but he has a full-on Carl Fredricksen that he put together.
Made, and then he has like a cassette player that he made. It's just, I mean, so many cool things. It's just very inspiring. I felt it was very inspiring.
Yeah, and thinking about creativity, I'm going to get a little bit, I guess, deep, if you will, but it makes me wonder about the next generation, the future generation of kids, because a lot of toys, you always heard from the past where people were either making or doing things with their own toys. But let's think about kids today. I know that they play with Legos, but Legos aren't even what Legos were when we were kids, where they're all almost defined sets now. Right. Where they don't just come out and have to create their own. So I'm wondering,
it's more video games now. It's not like when we were kids and Duck Hunt came out and that was like the coolest thing ever.
Right. But I think about, there was a quote that people were passing around online not too long ago that Einstein said, where he talked about, as the advent of technology comes forward, we're going to have a future generation of not as bright people. And I'm not certainly saying that is true. Obviously, it puts some weight behind it because it's Einstein. But thinking about the fact that so many things are given to us now, and I'm saying even in my own life, not just kids, that creativity is... that there's so many toys made, whereas before there weren't as many, and you had to create some of your own. And especially with Legos, you used to get just a bucket of bricks and have to make your own things. But now you go into the Lego store, and you can buy individual bricks, but 3 of those walls are coated in sets. So it's interesting to see how the next generation will be, because obviously, video games aren't getting any less creative. So the creativity is still there, but I think that just the way that it's manifesting itself is shifting a little. It's going into the game
That's a very interesting thought.
Rather than being outside of the game.
Right.
So it's interesting. So anyway, it's just something to think about.
Yeah, that's actually it's very deep.
Yeah, I told you it's introspective. I was thinking about it as we were watching that video and talking about it there. There was something else I was going to say about that, and if I remember it, we'll come back to it. But so another really neat thing that has come up this week is that on the Disney Parks blog, they revealed the die-cast Cars characters that were inspired by the Star Wars movies, and there are several of those that are there. And obviously, they're going to be coming out on May 17th in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. We had previously only seen, when we'd done a post on it before, renderings and drawings of the characters, but now they physically have shown the physical cars, the die-cast cars, and it's way cool. So definitely, if you have not seen those, it's kind of the main cast of characters. It's Luigi and Guido as C-3PO and R2-D2. You have Lightning McQueen as Luke Skywalker, Sally as Princess Leia. You have Fillmore as Yoda, Mater as Darth Vader. Which one am I forgetting in there?
The Hudson Hornet?
No, Doc isn't there. It's the Stormtroopers.
Oh, yes.
Are the
tractors. Gosh.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how we forgot that one. But, really, really, really cool stuff. And
if you are a collector of
not only
cars,
of there are people... It's one of our most looked at posts
this week.
And then also the one that we had done previously with just the drawings and the renderings from the
obviously, because
toy fair.
If you're a Star Wars fan... or a Pixar fan, or a die-cast car fan.
I know, it crosses so many genres that it literally is just awesome.
I mean, everyone listening, you'd understand, our basement is full of these die-cast cars, because TJ collects them like it's no one's business.
Yeah.
I think we have nearly 500 of these
just
cars.
A little over 400.
Yeah, in our basement, on top of all the Disney ones that they have at the Disney store. There's so many of them, and he loves them. So when these actual pictures came out of the actual cars, not just the artist renderings, he was like a kid on Christmas.
Yeah, I went running downstairs, and I was like, you gotta check these things out!
Yeah, he was so excited.
I love when they do the special edition ones, though, because it's kind of off the cuff. And even in the stores, it's
probably going to be a Disney Park exclusive, kind of like the Jack Sparrow Mater.
I would assume so.
And
it's going to be just I'm going to assume it's going to be at Hollywood Studios starting May 17th throughout all those weekends that they do the Star Wars weekends. Yeah, and then,
Sure, it'll go into Disneyland as well. It's got to.
Sure. Yeah, but it probably will premiere just there, at that point. So moving from toys and cars discussion, this week as well on Quora, which is a question and answer website where people just go out there, they sign in and put general questions, and then other people who are experts in that area come in, pick it up, and answer it. Well, Craig Good, who's a longtime Pixarian from back in the
Lucas days.
Right, so all the way back to the 80s, he answered a question that says, how does Pixar select the names for characters? And he responded with, the same way any other writer or writers might. It's a normal part of the story process. Some names come easily, such as Woody Pride. Many go through many rewrites. After Tinny, the antique one-man band wind-up toy, became a spaceman, we went through a few names. One stand-in was Lunar Larry. I contributed the name Tempest from Morph for a short test. It wasn't until a later story session that some folks batting around names tossed out Buzz as a nod to Buzz Aldrin, and someone else, as I recall, nobody remembers exactly who, called out Lightyear. Revisions can happen for many reasons. The protagonist of A Bug's Life was a merge of two characters from an earlier version, Flick and Grub. In early versions of Monsters Incorporated, Sullivan was going to start out as a noobish screw-up named Johnson. He became James P. Sullivan and eventually lost the glasses. Mustang McQueen became Lightning McQueen when the character became a pure race car not associated with a known model. Mater got his name from a character named Mater that John Lasseter met at a NASCAR race. So the short answer, too late I know, is that there's no one short answer. I'll bet most people reading this didn't know Woody had a last name, though, quite understandably since it was never mentioned in any of the movies. So we wanted to, when we put that in our post, dig around a little bit and find out when that was officially released. We'd known it, but we had actually kind of forgot it.
Yeah, it is. You know, there's so many interesting little facts about Pixar and the films and about each character and behind the scenes information that it's hard to retain everything. So when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot.
Right, so there's a couple things that we can talk about within this question that, you know, he kind of glosses over. So sure enough, you know, the last name of Pride for Woody, and that was revealed actually in August of 2009 by Lee Unkrich. He put it out on Twitter, and then it went crazy from there. So we, in our post, have a screenshot of his Twitter, you know, comment that he put out there for that. But there's a couple other things in here too, and it says where after Tinny, the antique one-man band wind-up toy became a spaceman. So originally, just as a, you know, we'll talk about through some of these in case some of our readers don't know or just need a reminder, but Tinny was the one-man band character from the short, and he was originally going to be the equivalent of Buzz Lightyear. He was going to be Buzz Lightyear. And then eventually they decided they needed to change him up. And then so once Buzz Lightyear came around, it went through Lunar Larry and Tempest from Morph, and then eventually became Buzz Lightyear. So that's pretty cool. And how different would that have movie been if
I know.
Tinny was...
Or just the names in general.
Lunar Larry?
Yeah.
Or Tempest from Morph. It would have seemed so much more... You gotta love those story sessions where all those brainstorming things go around.
Not
like
that they're bad names, but I guess it's because we know this character as Buzz Lightyear. So anything else we're looking as being like, what? How could that be?
Oh, I know. It would not be the same if at this point, if it were not Buzz Lightyear. I mean, and then you've got that Lightyear ties over to the Goodyear tires and cars and everything like that.
I know.
It's so cool.
It is.
So,
wouldn't you just love to be like a fly on the wall on these story sessions and
absolutely.
brainstorming sessions?
That's why we love the books, you know, all the art of books and all the background books and all the special features on the Blu-rays.
So incredible.
Yeah. And then, you know, he also mentions that in Monsters Incorporated, Sullivan was kind of a noobish screw-up. So, yeah, originally he was going to be one of the more off-the-wall kind of goofy people, like a George Sanderson or something.
Right, which we kind of knew, because if you see the Monsters Inc., the art of Monsters Inc., you can see so many different phases of where Sully started.
Right, and definitely had the glasses at the beginning and everything like that.
He used to have, tentacles, remember, as
That's right.
feet. And he changed a lot, but whereas Mike Wazowski pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah, he was almost dead on the same from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
Right, yeah, and Sullivan changed so much. So, and then Mustang McQueen, I know from, and it's not in any of the art of books, I don't recall, but I remember and I've talked about this a lot, but, you know, hey, if you got to bring it up, you got to bring it up. It's during that Pixar masterclass that I went to, Matt Lunn had pulled out some of his own personal storyboards that he had worked on for cars, and it was really interesting because, you know, originally they said here that they called him Mustang McQueen, but even after that, he was originally a green color and not red. It was only when they started doing more tests was that they wanted him to be a red color to stand out on the screen more. So he was actually originally colored more green like Chick Hicks. Mm-hmm. So that I thought was really interesting because I don't remember seeing that, but he talked about it in that masterclass and showed those storyboards that it was really cool, showing him drawn green. Right. It was a really weird thing to see Lightning McQueen be green, and driving around in those, where they put the storyboards in motion.
Oh, yeah, right.
Where
right.
it's just, they have those on some of the extras. So very interesting, some of the little high-level things that Craig Good talks about in this, but yet you can still pull out other little things to talk about. Right. So, yeah, if you haven't been on Quora before, check it out. Lots of interesting things, and definitely follow...
he's answered a lot of other Pixar questions in the past. We just grabbed the random ones that, strike our attention.
Yeah. Well, that about does it for this week. One other thing that we wanted to talk about, though, is next week we're going to be taking a hiatus. We will not have a podcast next week because we're putting together something even bigger for 2 weeks from then. So definitely stay tuned for that, and we're going to need some more prep time.
Yeah, and it's actually really fitting because our episode 11 of the Pixar Post Podcast will be posted on April 11th. And it's going to be like the biggest one yet.
Yeah, it is going to be cool. We're going to have a lot to talk about in it. And definitely stay tuned. I don't want to give anything
away, but it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. We're putting together some big things. So as usual, signing off, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news.